Hey everybody, what's going on? I hope that you're having a great day. It's your girl Camille Essick. I am host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. I need you to hit that notification bell and subscribe right now because sharing is caring, guys. And I have some great news. The Speaker Podcast is now on Alexa. So if you're at home cooking, you can say, Alexa, play the Speaker Podcast, and you'll hear my show. So we also have Speaker Podcast Premium available. You can get the exclusive interviews for starting at $3 a month, including this one. So if you're on right now, guess what? You're getting it for free. But however, comma space, it will be available on TSP Premium starting at $3 a month. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have Big Dog here tonight. We was chatting with him before the pre-show, and he's kind of Borough-ish, kind of Murfreesboro-ish, a little bit. As the kids say, it's giving Middle Tennessee. The one and only Adrian Davis. Adrian, welcome to the show.
What's up, Camille? Thank you for having me. I'm a Tennessee boy at heart. So I'm from Tennessee. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee. But
what?
yeah,
I didn't know you was from the Chats. Okay.
Born and raised Chattanooga. Born and raised.
Brainerd High School, or were you from Red?
Brainerd. I was the drum major there. Brainerd.
Okay, look. Okay, we got some. I got some Chattanooga people, so when they see this, they're gonna be like, "Yes, Brainerd High." Yeah. I think y'all just had homecoming.
Yeah. You know, like it's a big reunion time. You know, I haven't been able to go back for a reunion, just because now I live in LA and it's a little bit difficult. But yeah, I'm Chattanooga born and raised. I love Tennessee. Love everything about Tennessee. That's home for me.
Yeah. So, okay, this episode is getting better and better. So, give us a little bit more about what you do professionally.
Well, professionally, I do a little bit of everything. Right now, like I'm in the film sector. The main premise of my brand is called the Commas brand. And it's with the idea that the proper punctuation gives you the right to be more. And so, I was a senior pastor. And normally when people hear like pastor, they hear preacher, they hear minister, they kind of put a period there. But, I was a pastor. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a few different businesses. I own a sneaker store. I own a restaurant. And then I am an actor. I'm a director. I'm a producer. Been in a few movies. Got 2 new movies coming out by the end of the year. And so yeah, I just believe like it's not this and it's not this or that. It's this and that. So
I like it. So you're like a pastorpreneur.
Yeah.
If that's the word, we're gonna make it up. It's gonna work.
We're gonna make up a word. We're gonna add that. Yeah, but that's
you know why? This is my show, and we can do that.
You can do whatever you want to do. This your show, this your podcast. You can do whatever you want to do.
Right. So hopping right into the conversation, Pastor Davis. Let's kind of get into the impact and importance of faith as a creative.
I think the concept of faith is a big one for creatives. I mean, I'm in a space right now, just to be totally transparent, where it's requiring not just my ability as far as how creative I am, because I think that God really keeps a cap on levels of creativity so that we don't worship it. So like creativity is a tool in which that he gives us, it's a gift in which that he gives us. But a lot of times we could probably lean into our creativity more than we lean into our faith, because we'll start to, when we get in the bind, we won't trust God. We'll trust our creativity. We'll trust our ability to make things happen. We'll trust our ability to see, to move and shake and to do certain things. But I believe that God oftentimes puts a cap on that creativity to say, you're very creative, but for this season, it requires faith. And I feel like every creative needs that, because it's one of those things that, what happens when you've created all you can create and it still doesn't do what you thought it would? What happens when you know what I'm saying, like exhaust all your possibilities and all your creativity and then what do you do? I think that's where faith begins to interject. And I think that's where So everything for a creative should be, the foundation of it should be faith.
That's really good. I always heard this saying, when it's bigger than your budget, that's when you know it's God. And
Yeah.
going into what you were saying about that, because even right now, I'm in a space where like my faith is being stretched in so many different areas. And a lot of times, God will show you or tell you your destination, but He doesn't explain the destination, like the actual journey. He just shows you the end, but not actually what happens in between. And I think sometimes He does that because if He does, it'll discourage you, or you may even sabotage and be like, oh, I can't do that. If I have to go through this, like, nah, I'll pass. So what do you say to the people um surviving transition?
Transition is a is a difficult place. And as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
As I'm talking to these people that are listening, I'm talking to myself for sure. And I think that just like you said, Camille, I think that God specializes in showing us uh, the end result. Like even when we look at the story of Joshua, like Joshua had a dream. I mean, not Joshua, Joseph. Joseph had a dream. God showed him a glimpse of the dream, but He did not tell him, "Hey, you'll be, your brothers will turn on you, your family will turn on you. You'll be put in the pit. You'll be sold into slavery. You'll have to go to jail. You'll be lied on. You'll be talked about. You'll be, you'll go viral for all the wrong things." You know what I'm saying? And then there's still a palace that still awaits you.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that through that transition, I think the biggest thing that we have to hold on to, or the biggest thing we should hold on to, is what God showed us before we got in it. And I think that's why God, when God gives Joseph that dream, it's like a snapshot of the end, or His promised place. And I'm pretty sure it's very hard to hold on to that in the pit. It's very hard to hold on to that in the prison. It's very hard to hold on to that when everybody is speaking ill of you and everybody thinks that you are lying and so forth and so on. But through that place, I think that that's where we find our strength in God and not our strength in our own ability. So if you're going through transition right now, you just gotta get back to what God said and hold on to that for dear life, no matter what it may look like, no matter what it may feel like, no matter what you may be dealing with or going through. You got to hold on to that for dear life.
And in that, Adrian, don't we also have to be more protective as far as our circle, maybe the people around us, what they say, your ear gate, your eye gate, what we're taking in, what we're reading, because um, um, you are what you eat. So if you listening to a lot of mess, hearing a
Yeah.
lot of mess, that can deter your faith, and it can kind of, what did, what did God really say that, or was that you? And then have you questioning, like, well, was that really God or was that me? Like, and so can you kind of speak to the importance of, I won't say cutting people off, but maybe shifting your proximity with certain people and things during that time to protect the promise?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we oftentimes we talk about, the shift in what needs to happen and letting people go, but I think we also need to highlight the grief that happens from that place, right?
Mm,
Because sometimes you will need to, I call it a season of separation. It doesn't mean that it's always forever, and doesn't mean that you know, it will last forever. But you might have to go through that season. Not might. If you're on the journey that God has called you to, you're going to go through that season where God is going to separate you. Where either you're going to make the decision or He's going to make the decision for you.
mhm.
And one of the things I tell people, man, is that God will give people the strength to leave you when you don't have the strength to leave them, and you'll be devastated. Man, why they because I'm I'm telling you what I'm experiencing right now. Like you be in that season, you be like, man, why? Like why everybody leaving me? Why everybody, and it's really orchestrated and ordained by God for those things to happen. A lot of times, like when we're going through the valley of the transition of life and the ebbs and flows of life, we think that, losing everything and all of that stuff is about us. It's really about the people that are around you, so that God can shake up your circle so that you don't have the wrong people around you when you make it to your destination. And so yeah, there is a cutting off that you will have to do, and you're going to grieve that. There's a cutting off that that other people will make the decision to say, hey, I ain't fooling with you no more. Where you are is not where I am, and so forth and so on. And that's a cutoff situation. You got to grieve that. And then there's just some time of isolation. A lot of us that say, that, before elevation, there's a season of separation, and isolation. And so before God begins to elevate, I think that he separates. And, we see that through the parable in the wheat and the tare. We see that, like I was just talking about with Joseph, and you kind of, you have to almost endure before you enjoy.
Mm.
And so it just comes to a place where, yeah, it's going to hurt, and you're going to have to make some hard decisions about who is deserving to be with you at your final place. But I think for me, what I've been telling myself, like, if you weren't with me during the renovation, or if you weren't with me during the tearing down and the rebuilding, then you may not understand, the complexities of the new house that's being built, and so yeah, I can go out and meet you somewhere. I can, we can hang out every now and then, but for the most part, like, I gotta protect what God has called me to build. So yeah, you definitely have to go through that season. But I think through that, you have to, again, like, go through those processes of grieving, and then continue to hold on to what God told you.
That's really good. Also, too, I think because I'm kind of going through that myself. Like, did he? I didn't
Yeah.
tell him my business. Like, so I know this is on time. I was gonna say, as far as going through that transition, um, I think sometimes it's also for God to fine tune your ear to hear Him,
Yeah.
and we can have what I call noise pollution spiritually because
Yeah.
we're taking in advice from so many different people, or we're watching so many podcasts or so much social media, and then it's like when God is speaking, you're not able to discern if that's him or something your friend said or something you watched. And so he has to kind of purge your ear from some stuff. And so when he speaks, you'll be able to recognize, because this place that we're in is so critical for what's to come. And there's so much at stake. If you don't hear him clearly, it could jeopardize everything.
Yep. And I mean it, and you're exactly right. I think that, it's one of those things where, if you have too many people around, it's very easy to confuse what is God and what is good advice.
Mhm.
And so
Good advice versus godly advice.
yeah, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Because it's like that concept of social media. If I went on social media right now, on my timeline of things that are featured right on
Mhm.
my timeline. I'm an artist. I draw. I like a lot of pencil art, and I like a lot of people that draw with
Okay.
sketch pencils. Right, that stuff. The algorithm is going to feed me that stuff. Right, it's going to
Yeah.
tell me. It's going to tell me, hey, this is an artist that does what you like. You've been liking these posts, and a lot of times we would think that just because something is showing up on my timeline, that, oh, this is God speaking to me. And it's the same way with, like, our friends that are around us. They may give good advice, and then you would think that, oh, this is God speaking to me. No, they were in the concept of your algorithm. They know what you like. They know what maybe you want to hear, and maybe they want to continue the relationship and make you feel like, hey, like, I'm here for you, I'm here for you, I'm here for you. And it's not that they're bad people. It's just the fact that, we probably have misplaced those people in our prioritization. One of the things I've been preaching, I was preaching in Oakland, and one of the things I just been overemphasizing is that whatever we consult before we consult God has become our God.
Mm. Can you
So
say that again for the people in the back? I really like that.
whatever we consult before we consult God, or whatever we consult before we are obedient to what God said,
Mm.
has become our God. And what I mean by that is, like, God may tell you something, right? And then it'd be like, hey, go and move to Timbuktu, Kalamazoo. It was God. And then you got to call up, you know, uh, Rhonda and Nick and Jason, and call them,
Right.
and be like, hey, bro, man, what you think about me moving to Timbuktu? Like, what you think about, man? And it's like, wait a minute, why do you have to consult that when you've already heard from God? And then immediately that relationship between, like I use the analogy of Nick, that relationship between me and Nick now is in direct opposition to God. So anything that's placed above God, he has to destroy.
Because that's idolatry, technically.
Exactly. So now I've put them on the same wavelength as God. So before I'm obedient to God, I gotta consult Nick. So now God is saying, oh, you trust Nick's word more than you trust mine. So now me and Nick, you don't even realize that now God is saying, oh, I got a war for your attention between you talking to your best friend Nick. So
And he got
now
to shut that down.
I gotta shut it down for a season, or I gotta put a
Mm,
wedge in. I gotta put some distance between you and Nick, so that you can see things properly and be obedient to what I said. So yeah, you're gonna grieve that time of separation between you and Nick. You're gonna, dang, that's my best friend. Why every time I hit him up, he busy, or then when he hit me up, I'm busy, and we keep missing each other. And what's going on here? Sometimes those seasons are definitely orchestrated by God,
wow.
because we've been consulting other people, and that's
Mhm.
a challenging part to being a creative too, though, because a lot of times with being a creative, you want people to understand what you're building, and you want people to understand what you are attempting to do, and you want people to agree. So I know I've been guilty of it. God told me to do something, and I want to put it out there for people to see, or I want people to you know I want people to experience it, and I want people to hear it, and all that type of stuff. But God's like, no, this is between me and you right now. Don't announce this too soon. Shut your mouth. um People that follow me know I'm on a season right now. Like I haven't posted on social media in like almost 3 months. There may be small things I post, like maybe in my story, but I'm just on the season of not posting it, and God literally has me on this because he's like, yo, I don't need you distracted by nothing else right now. And it's challenging. It's very challenging, but I think that to honor God and to honor my relationship that I'm strengthening back up with him, I have to be obedient to what he said. And so we got to get to a place where we understand that sometimes certain distances are definitely instructions from God.
That's good because we can be so addicted to the likes and the followers, and you post something, and then every 30 minutes, sometimes more than that, you grab your phone and see how many people liked it, if there are any comments or reshares. And it's like an addiction
Yep.
for likes. And it's like, it's not healthy. And why are we really doing it? Are you doing it because, like, for example, I know I'm supposed to be podcasting, so I should do it because I know this is what I'm supposed to do versus watching the analytics and the dashboard every 30 minutes.
Yep.
Because when you do that, then there's no peace. You don't have
Yep.
peace. And in that time of waiting, something you were saying, and it made me think, Adrian, um, in that wait time when it can be kind of quiet, I want you to kind of unpack not falling for the representative or creating an Ishmael while you wait. Because you're waiting, you're like, okay, God, you take it too long. So let me go over here and kind of jailbreak the system. But now you created an Ishmael.
Yeah, that I think a lot of times, like that is our ability to move ahead of God, and to get to a place where we want to create our own way out. I think that a lot of times we have to deal with the fact that we have a control issue.
Mm,
We have a control issue. Our faith is in direct opposition of our ability to be in control. Every time we this the out this is the reason why I tell people this all the time. Like, even praying is a humbling mechanism for you to say, I don't know.
right.
And so a lot of times, like, when we pray, we get frustrated. A lot of times when God is saying wait, we get frustrated, and then we have to really get to the root of the fact that, yo, I may have a control issue. I want things the way I want things. And if things don't are moving at my speed, are moving at my pace, then I'm going to find another way to get it done.
So is a
And
control issue also like a faith issue?
yeah,
Because
it is.
sometimes we treat God the way we've experienced relationships within. I would say, the human level.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, we clench up
Yeah,
because it's like, I can't see it, I can't touch it, I can't. But it's almost like we're kind of triggered a little. And
yeah.
I know that word can be overly used, but it is like a trigger, right?
It is. It is. Like I think you're dead on. It is definitely that. Like it is a faith thing because we say, well, hey, I have faith in God. And a lot of times what we're saying is I have faith in God that God's gonna do what he said, but I don't have faith in God's timing.
But we put a comma on the faith. The time we don't need the comma. It should be faith, period. But we're saying faith, comma.
We are. We're saying faith, comma. But by this time, if you don't, by my birthday, if you ain't showed up yet, and if this ain't happened yet, and then I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z.
But he doesn't have the same watch as us.
No, he does not. He does not. Like we have to understand that we operate on chronos, God operates on cosmos. That literally means that in a blink of an eye, 40 years can go by for God. So when we're saying, God, I've been in this too long, God, like, I ain't even blinked on you yet.
Mm.
I ain't even blinked on you yet. Like literally, like so the timing of God is not for us to regulate and or control. The timing of God allows us to trust in not just what he said he was going to do, but in the timing. And majority of the time, what happens with us, God doesn't tell us the timing that he's going to do it. He tells us what he's going to do, but he doesn't tell us the timing in which that is going to be done. So therefore, what frustrates us is that I know, what God said. My reality right now doesn't match what God said. So what I'm going to do is that if it's not done by the time that I think it should be done, then I'm going to take the issues and or the matters in my own hands and try to create what God showed me. Not understanding that when we try to create what God showed us, it's always a carbon copy, and it would never be everything that God showed us, because everything that God showed us required our obedience and our trust in him and him doing it. If we could do it on our own, God wouldn't have had to show us what is going to be done by him.
Yeah, it's like we're hungry. And so we stop at Crystal's. He was like, well, I was going to take you to Five Guys, but since you want a Crystal Burger, now your tummy is upside down.
Hey, don't do crystal burgers like that. That's
You know,
don't do crystals like
they
that.
have its time and its place. So it's really good. I kind of want to shift gears as we get further into the conversation, start to wrap things up. In this space of community and tribe, can you kind of touch on a little bit more as far as managing community or tribal shifts? Because as you or we collectively begin to change and evolve, you may not start out with your day ones. You want to, but some people may not come along with you. Things can happen in relationships. Then it's not that you're better than anyone, but there's a growth spurt that you may experience. And so you can have a conversation from 5 years ago and realize, like, man, they're still doing, love them. But then the conversation is strained, it's awkward, or maybe the conversation is fine. You're just mentally in a different space and God is bringing a new community. So can you kind of unpack that a little bit for us, Adrian?
Yeah, for sure. I think that that community shifts are going to happen. We want to, and what I realized too with me personally, I have friends for different compartments
Hmm.
of my life. It just is what it is. I think that when you get older, you start to realize that, like, I have, if I'm going to, I have certain friends that I could talk to almost about everything under the sun, and I'm grateful for those friends. But I also have friends that, hey, if I want to talk film and music and stuff like that, and entertainment, I got those friends. If I just strictly want to talk church and preaching and faith building, I got friends like that. If I want to talk, because I love fashion, I'm heavy into fashion and clothing and design. Like if I want to talk about that, I got friends for that. And so understanding that, there'll be shift in friendships, and it doesn't always mean that you have to throw everything and everybody away. But
Mm.
it does mean that you have to be open to the change and to the shift of what may happen, and being okay with the fact that who you started out with, you may not finish with. Like, you have to, and understanding that, like I said, there'd be different compartments for different people in different situations, and that's okay. Like, and again, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It just means that maybe that's what they like, and that's what they're going to forever like, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like, you like that, cool. Like, I may have changed, and that may not be something that I like. Now, I'm not going to continue to jeopardize who I am and what I'm called to be to, entertain that, or to salvage, or to keep that friendship. But what I am going to do is that I'm going to love you for where you are, and I'm not going to try to change you, and I'm not going to force you, but I will be here if you ever need me. And one of the things that I had to realize with my, what you call day ones, I had to realize that with my day ones, I'm not called to, for a lot of them, I'm not called to be in their life every day, but I am called to keep my door open to them.
That's good. I like that.
And what I mean by that is, if they need me, if they I got who I call day ones that, they'll call me and they need some advice, or they going through something and they just need some encouragement, or whatever the case is, they can call me. They, just because they still in the club every weekend and doing what they doing, I don't throw them away. I still love them. And I just, I'm not in the club every weekend. That's just not what I enjoy. That's just not my thing. It doesn't make me better than them. But what I've learned is that through time, because at first I was like, no, you either like what I like and that's it. Like, no, that's not necessarily the case. I go out with people in business, and I go out with people in all types of sectors of film and, industry. And guess what? We don't eat the same things.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean we can't sit at the same table.
exactly. You can have your salad and I can eat my grilled salmon. So
You see what I'm saying? Like, we all don't eat the same things. And so just because you make your preference is something else, doesn't mean I got to throw you away just because your preference is something else. Now, I only can be cool with people that respect what I order, though,
yeah,
because you're not gonna make me feel bad, because, or try to force, if I don't eat pork and you trying to force pork chops on me and then make me feel bad because I'm not eating pork, then I really can't be friends with you.
yeah.
You know
Because your diet can change. Like you might start out eating pork and then later on you're like, "Mm, this is not really conducive to my lifestyle. So let me cut the pork out."
Yeah, and then guess what? They may ask me, so bro, when you cut out pork, like, what did you start eating?
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? At that point, then now, but if or what if they always wanted to cut out pork and they
You can have
didn't
the
see
courage.
they didn't see alternatives, they didn't see
Yeah,
other options, they didn't see, and then now because I'm sitting at the table and they're seeing these other options, they're like, dang, bro, I didn't even know they had that here.
yeah,
Immediately, immediately you become a light to someone that is interested, that has been interested in the change, but just hasn't had the courage to take it.
yeah.
And so I think that, one of the things I've learned is that, through the day ones and whatever the case is, like, learning that, everybody that start with you won't finish with you, but being okay with the fact that, yo, we don't have to be as buddy buddy as we were and best friends as we were, but hey, my door is still open to you.
That's good. Wow, you dropped a lot of gems. I want to bring you back because I'm just like, man, that's so good. I know this is for the listeners, but I'm like, oh, I'm in the audience too right now, so I'm enjoying the conversation.
Yeah.
Before we wrap things up, Adrian, do you have any like takeaways or nuggets or gems that you would like to leave for the listeners and viewers? Just until we bring you back to the show, and then also where people can contact you on social media. Just because this is really dope. I know right now you're kind of like on a social media hiatus, but I do want the people to know that hey, if y'all like them, I can try to get Adrian back. So
For sure. For sure. I think what I would like to leave people with is that, um, you know, try your hardest to hold on to what God showed you. And I know it's difficult, and I know it's challenging, and I know at times we want to give up, we want to quit, and those emotions are real. Stop trying to. I think a lot of times like we try to over spiritualize everything from the standpoint of oh yeah, nah, I don't want to give up because believers, we don't never have that feeling. Well, you can have that feeling
Yeah,
as a
like
believer.
overly spiritual.
Yeah, like we can be overly spiritual to where we're overlooking the human need
Yeah.
and the human emotion. And God gave us these human feelings and these human emotions to have. But what he did is that he says, yo, like, I'm going to give you these emotions to have, but don't allow these emotions to have you. And
Ooh.
I think it's the ability to feel and acknowledge those feelings before those feelings try to overtake you. I think where the feelings overtake us is because we've been ignoring them for far too long. So I want to tell us to lean into what we feel, acknowledge what we feel, but understand what you feel is not your forever. Feelings are true, but they are not facts. And try your hardest to hold on to what God showed you. Continue to go on this path and go on this journey. And it's never too late for you to start a new course. Never too late for you to say, hey, this is not conducive to who I am anymore. And it's never too late for a person to change. Other people may not accept the change, but that's not your responsibility. It's your responsibility to operate, to do as God told you.
I like. And do you
So
have anything like books, products, merch, whatever?
yeah,
What's going on so that people
yeah,
can connect with
yes.
you?
I gotta like we're revamping the website right now, so the website is down. Like that's why I've been on this hiatus, just really just recouping and rebranding on the back end for everything to kind of launch. We got it's a new book that's getting ready to launch, but I have a book that's on. Man, I got a few books. I got a book that's on Amazon. Well, two books that's on Amazon. One's called Tears Down a Smiling Face. That was my first book I ever did. And it was just a story of my battle with suicide as a believer. And then we have it's a 21-day devotional called 21 Days of Preparation. The greatest act of faith is preparing for what your eyes do not see. And when God has told you something, you got to start preparing. And I know it may look crazy. I know it may seem nuts, but Noah was crazy building that boat until it rained.
Love
Uh,
it.
and then for my guys that are listening, I have a journal called the Journal for the Grown A Man, and it's over 99 affirmations for men, and it prompts us to write and for us to journal and for us to get some thoughts out because a lot of times, men, we just don't feel that our emotions are valued and are safe, and so yeah, we got those things going, and then we got some Pariah gear, which is my clothing brand's called Pariah. So we got the I Don't Fit In hats that are floating around all over the place right now. And so you can go to pariahbrand.com to see what Pariah has going on. And Pariah literally means outcast, one that's willing to stand alone. And so, yeah, but you can find all of that stuff. You can just follow me on Adrian Davis now on Instagram, and you'll see all of that in my bio. Everything's kind of in my bio with my link tree, and you can just find everything there.
I love it. And I do want to bring you back to discuss your journey only because one of the components of this podcast is I created a space for Black men to discuss mental health. And that's something that's very important to me to the point I even started a brand called Good Black Men.
Oh
Um,
wow! Yeah,
and
I actually will be in North Carolina. I'll be at Fayetteville State speaking on mental health to about 400 college students
okay.
November 8th. So
What day is that? I know I start school next month.
oh, okay.
So and classes are from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yeah, they got me doing something for all of the college students.
Okay. Do you have a
Well,
flyer? Because I can still put it on my social
yeah,
media.
yeah, they're supposed to send it to me I think by Monday. So when I get it,
Okay.
I'll send it to you. And so yeah, so yeah, I'll be at Fayetteville State talking about mental health. And
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely push that across my social media platforms. And I do want to bring you back just for that discussion and about your book for the grown amen.
yeah,
Because that's a very strong component of this space. It's something that's very special to my heart. I think a lot of brothers always say we have so many girl boss brunches and places for us to talk, but there's not a lot of space, healthy conversation, because we're in a time there's a lot of red pill, blue pill conversation, but not any healthy conversation. So that's one of the things I do here is that I bring brothers on and we have those talks as well. I've even done a panel before covering some of those things as far as Black fathers. I had a panel for that. So a lot of things I do here for the brothers, and I have a whole playlist on my podcast just for conversations from the shows for Black men, specifically for them. So if you go to the speaker podcast or put in my name on YouTube, go to the playlist and you'll see Black men and mental health. Catch all these episodes there. So
Awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out.
yeah, please subscribe, and we'll also shout you out in the credits as you'll see at the end of the show. So I love supporting the people that support me. So thank you so much. With that being said, everybody, this is Camille Essex, host of the Speaker Podcast. And hold on, Adrian, the podcast where innovators and critics connect. Be sure to follow me on YouTube at Camille Essex Official and on Instagram at Camille.Essex. We have a couple more episodes on the way tomorrow night. Our gift is coming here. He is a phenomenal artist, taking the Jackson, Florida by scene area by storm. I can't talk, Lord. And he's also my cousin. So it's going to be a family affair. It's going to be a really good conversation. Tune in for that. And then we're going to have another surprise pop up in November. So yeah, if you want to know what's going on, follow us on Facebook at the Speaker Podcast. And y'all be blessed. See y'all tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Good night.
Yeah.
Hold on, Adrian.